remember that food we had at Metropolitan Market the other day? You had the squash soup and those mashed potatoes. So good.
Yeah, it was really good because I was dipping the mashed potatoes in the squash soup,
Yeah.
which just gave it such more of a complex flavor.
Yeah, it was a really good concoction. And then I got that breakfast sandwich with the brioche bun. It had eggs, sriracha mayo, bacon. Oh, it was so delicious.
Yeah, and we rarely eat meat too.
Yeah, but I just was craving it.
It was a
so
good combination.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Metropolitan Market is like one of those kind of like bougie places where you can't shop all the time or really even shop, but
some people can.
Some people can. But we can go and buy some like tidbits there, here and there, and it just makes my day really.
Yeah, it's so good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, food is just one of those things that I think, brightens the day, especially on a winter day when it's gray out.
Yeah, especially for us. We're definitely foodies.
Yeah. So we're talking about food today and what our favorite foods are and who cooks and kind of along those lines. So,
yeah, our relationship with food.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
So welcome to Brewed Together. I'm Abe.
And I'm Alexa.
And we're going to dive right into this podcast.
Yeah.
So in terms of food, what's your, if you could only have one food, I feel like a lot of people ask this question, you could only have one thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say food. What's your favorite food?
I would say I love a lot of things. So it's really hard. If I were to say one thing, I love pizza.
Yeah.
I've loved it since I was a kid. I feel like you can put as many different toppings on it as you want, and you can change it up so much. Now, if I had to pick a specific type of pizza, I would say probably a veggie pizza because we don't eat meat much.
Yeah.
And I used to love pepperoni pizza, so I would have said that if I was younger. But I love that you can just kind of throw a bunch of things on it. And I don't just like plain veggie pizza where you just throw maybe one topping on it.
Yeah.
I like artichokes and spinach and mushrooms and that kind of thing.
What about like a thin crust or a thick crust pizza?
I like a thick crust.
Oh.
But not...
support all those veggies.
Yes. But not one that has like cheese in the crust.
Okay.
I'm not super into that.
Oh, that was going to be one of my other questions. Yeah, cheese in the crust. I don't know. It's hit or miss
I haven't seen that
sometimes.
in a long time.
Yeah,
actually.
It's also like when we traveled abroad to Italy. I don't know. I know you like the thick crust, but I love the thin crust.
Thin's good too. I'll take it.
Not crispy, but like a thin, kind of soft crust.
Yeah.
Sure.
How about you?
It's hard to pick because I don't know. There's so many things, but. One of the things I really enjoy is because I don't eat it a lot is like a Beyond Burger or one of those meatless burgers. And I don't know, I don't even put a lot of things on them. I'll put just some lettuce, some ketchup, even that, and it just tastes so good with the bun and everything.
They taste like real meat.
They do. Yeah, I get them at work sometimes, and they'll cook them up on the grill and everything, and when I get it, and I'm eating it, I'm like, did they mix it up with someone's, meat burger? So
it's that good.
It's that good, really, and it really doesn't need anything. I don't get onions on it, though, just because I feel like I have the onion taste in my mouth for, ever.
Oh, I love onions. Grilled, raw, whatever.
Raw onions, yeah. No raw onions for me. If they're grilled, then yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of cooking, can you remember, do you remember the first thing that you ever cooked?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let me think. Maybe rice.
Yeah, in a rice cooker?
No, rice in a pot.
Oh.
I didn't grow up with a rice cooker, actually.
Neither did I, actually.
But I love that we have a rice cooker now. It's so easy.
Yeah.
But, it was very basic level. Or maybe cooking, on the stove or, making something.
Take it as you will.
So I thought cooking on the stove kind of thing, because when you're a kid, you usually are not cooking on the stove. So probably that. I also remember at maybe a younger age when I was able to do that, my mom teaching me how to make a grilled cheese.
Okay.
Yeah, because I loved grilled cheese as a kid.
What type of cheese?
American, Kraft singles.
Yeah.
That's
the ones that
what
come
I
in
remember.
The plastic film.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah. I remember that. I haven't even seen those in forever.
I haven't either. I don't look for them.
No.
So
yeah,
we always get like cheese in a block,
Yeah.
or
it's cheaper. I feel like too.
Yeah, like a whole block of cheese is the best. Yeah.
If we're and mozzarella. Oh, that's my favorite cheese.
I feel like mozzarella doesn't really have a taste though.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if you just eat it by itself,
it has like we've gotten fresh mozzarella.
I know,
and
but it's
it
kind
has
of
like milky.
It's like, milky, but milk does. I don't
put
know.
a little salt on it. That's where I think the taste comes. Yeah,
from the salt.
Yeah, from the salt. It just adds to the milkiness, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I can remember. One of those two things, or like sandwiches, if we're talking, not on the stove. I mean, that was just something easy. PB&J.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how about you?
Well, my mom always cooked meals for us growing up, and so we rarely ate out or bought like processed foods. I was lucky in that respect. So I can't really remember the first thing that I started cooking, but one of the things that is really memorable to me when it's probably eggs, honestly, because we grew up with kind of the hobby farm, and we had chickens, and you always had eggs, so we'd cook eggs and stuff. I remember we had a gas oven and stovetop, and we had a griddle on it, and we were like not allowed to use the griddle ever, just because it was so hard to clean.
Yeah. Oh, and
my mom,
it'd make more work for your parents.
Yeah, it'd make and she never used it either. My dad would use it off and on, and it was like. It's too difficult. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of work to clean, so just better in a pan. But one of the things I remember making as in my when I was a teenager, or like 18, 19, in college, and I was living at home still, and I wanted to make croissants. And croissants are.
That seems like complex.
I was into baking, so I looked up this recipe and ended up finding that you have to layer all this butter into the dough, like over a couple of hours from this recipe that I remember. And then I had to sit overnight, and you had to be careful, like when you were like layering, like folding this butter into the dough, because if you kept it out too long, then the butter would like melt and the dough would become mush. And so it was just, And Hawaii is not, cold per se. So I woke up like the following morning, probably like, I don't know, 6 or something, because I just want to be a baker type of thing. And I woke up to go do it, and the kitchen was really hot, and the dough started getting mushy. I was like, oh no, but they turned out pretty well. But
good.
Yeah, that kind of escalated into from my favorite food to a cooking story.
How about, do you have a favorite meal from your childhood?
Favorite meal? Oh, yeah. So there was this dessert that my mom would make. It was like for all of our birthdays. And there's 2 desserts. It was either Oreo and whipped cream, like what's called an Oreo dessert, and it was layered. It was almost like a 7-layer dip, where you have Oreos, whipped cream, I think cream cheese as well.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of that with a Oreo crust. So that was a really popular one. Another one was this mango dessert. And so we knew someone that had mango trees, and so we always got mangoes. And I can't remember all the exact things in it, but it had like something like a graham cracker crust, and then I think like whipped cream again, and then mangoes on top. It was just so good.
So you love the desserts.
Yeah, I love the desserts. They just... Even though dessert is not my thing now, I'm more of like a salt person. I like salt.
You like savory things.
Yeah, and what do you like versus salt versus sugar?
Sweet.
Yeah.
I like sweet things.
You do.
Yeah, I love cookies. I just baked little, I don't know what they're called, like these little vanilla bars.
Yeah, those were good. They're almost like blondie brownies.
Yes, blondies. That was the name.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't think of it. But yeah, they're blondies just because... that's what I preferred, and you can even put sprinkles in them. I thought about putting nuts in them, so maybe next time I'll do that. Yeah.
In terms of allergies, I already know this question, but I already know this answer. So what are you allergic to, if anything?
I am allergic to chocolate, which I'm fine with it. I mean, it kind of sucks because I used to love chocolate, and my allergies just got worse over time. So I don't eat it at all. And it's been several years probably since I've eaten chocolate, but
Was it
People always
tough, though? Was it tough to,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
go from, like,
Oh,
eating
yeah.
chocolate to no chocolate?
Oh, yeah. And I started to have, like, symptoms of, like, the allergy, and
Yeah.
they just kept getting worse. And I kind of had talked to my mom about it, and she's like, yeah, you cannot eat that anymore. And I was like, yeah, I just can't, because I feel so bad. And every time I tell people that, they feel so bad for me. They always are like, oh, you poor thing.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of things that have chocolate in
Yeah,
them.
or just the cacao bean itself. Lotion has it, all kinds of food. Sometimes, like, random crackers will have it in it. Just things you wouldn't even believe. Like, even some candies that aren't even marked chocolate.
And we were talking about, like, sunscreen, too. Like these non-food products, like you're saying.
Yeah, I did a deep dive into sunscreens, and Abe has one of the better ones that I chose off this kind of list I had created, and I can't use it because it has cacao in it. Luckily, I can use the stick version of it because it doesn't. So, yeah, it's kind of shocking what it's in. So I suggest, like, you take a look if you're ever curious. But do you have any allergies?
I don't have any allergies now, but I was allergic to, I can't think of the name of it all.
Nitrates.
Nitrates. Yeah, nitrates. Yeah.
I already know the answer.
Yeah. We've talked prior.
Yes.
We're married, right?
Yeah.
So, nitrates I was allergic to in, like, probably my middle school. And there's this place, but nitrates are like a preservative from my understanding, and they're, like, used in meats and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
So
is it in other things?
I don't know. It was really just, like, I think processed meat. So, like, there's this place called Fukushima's in Maui. It doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately. And the hot dog, they had this hot dog place, and they were, like, the best hot dogs ever. But there were nitrates in them, and I would get, like, migraine headaches every single time. And just regular meats. Char siu is another, like, popular meat.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't really exactly know what it is now, but it's like I think it's a pork so these hot dogs are, like, red, and char siu is red as well. Red? I don't know. Red dye number 40.
Yeah, I know. Number 40. No.
The char siu also has it as well.
Yeah.
And so these are all, like, popular meats, but so I just stopped eating them for a while, but I eventually grew out of it.
Okay.
So that was kind of cool. Unfortunately, it sounds like you grew into yours, and I grew out of mine. It's like, so it's kind of weird how the body works.
It is. It's totally weird. Yeah.
If you could only, let's say, what about the first meal that each of us cooked for each other? Do you remember? I'm trying to think of what the first meal was that you cooked for me.
Well, you made me pad thai.
Yeah.
That was probably on our 4th date.
Yeah.
You invited me over to your apartment. And I just remember telling my friends, like, oh my gosh, he said he's going to cook for me. He asked me what my favorite food was. And at the time, it was pad thai. And I was just so impressed when I came over. It tastes so good.
I've never made it before.
Yeah, which I learned later.
And I've never made it again.
Yeah, you never made it again.
It was a one-time thing.
Yeah, we should make it again.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, I haven't had pad thai in a long time. But, yeah, I just remember it was delicious. And I felt so, like, impressed. And it meant a lot to me that you took the time to cook me a meal like that. Especially one that you had never cooked before. I mean, you were taking a chance.
Sure, yeah.
And I feel like that's one way in a relationship that we kind of show love to each other is, like, making each other food, making each other meals for work the next day, and that kind of thing.
Thinking about it now, I think the first thing that you probably cooked me was or baked was cookies. Because I think you would bring, like...
Probably.
Yeah. You're into, like, baking cookies. And I think you brought, like, some cookies over or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't remember the exact type. You make all different types, but...
Yeah. I feel like I've tried experimenting, especially with, like, social media, kind of blowing up, like, the cooking space.
On TikTok,
blowing up on social media, TikTok and that kind of thing. I try to experiment more with the foods that I cook.
Well, during COVID, when we were dating, or the early stages of our dating, we couldn't go out, right? Like, we were for the first, like, 2 months? Because we had 2 months of, like, normal... kind of like dating?
No, we only had 1 month.
Oh, well, 1 month. Okay,
and
it's been a little bit.
Closed.
Yeah. So, and then we started cooking in, doing home cooking, and we did spring rolls.
We did sushi, and that was kind of fun because we had all the ingredients laid out on your counter, and we just like made whatever we wanted. It's really fun that you can customize sushi in whatever way that you want.
The bamboo mats and everything.
Yeah, and we did like a Mediterranean meal.
Yeah.
The only thing I remember from that meal is these tomatoes that we like took a spoon and we took out the inside of the tomato and put balsamic in it. And,
I think like the inside. We mixed it with balsamic.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we put it back in and then we like cooked it in the oven. And I just remember
so good.
You still to this day talk about those tomatoes, but we never made it again.
We should make them again. I feel like we do a lot of like one-offs.
Yeah.
Or like
when you're feeling inspired.
Sure, yeah. Like, and then soups, we'll make soups and things like that as well.
Yeah.
In terms of relationship with food, what's your relationship with food?
My relationship with food has kind of changed over time throughout my life. I think when I was younger, I loved all kinds of different food, and well, actually, no. I should say when I was younger, I loved like chicken strips and grilled cheese. I loved some fruit. Like, I was a little bit more picky. And I mean, that's fine if you are. But as I got older, my palate started expanding, which was really nice. And I feel like I'll try most things now. But I think one thing that's interesting when you talk about relationship with food is like for young women, I think your relationship can change based on, well, I think it can be young men too.
Sure.
But in our society, we see a lot of models and what you should and should not eat and that kind of thing. And so I think that can lead to a lot of challenges for young women. And I think I definitely faced some of those, you know, as I was in my teenage years and in college. I always felt like kind of more stress, almost like stress around food. It was like an interesting relationship. But now, I'll say as I'm an adult, I think about what's going to fuel my body. I would say most of the times more picky with what I choose. Like we do a lot of home cooking.
We do.
We try to like make things from scratch, and we also use the Yuka app.
Right, the Yuka app, and I think you're the one who found that.
Yeah, I found it on TikTok. I saw it. And it's one of many apps where you can actually scan the barcode on food and see what ingredients are inside of food.
That's like versus healthy versus not.
Yeah, so it will like do the breakdown of the ingredients, and then like if something is an allergen or an irritant or
mutagenic.
Yeah.
Or carcinogenic.
Carcinogenic.
Like that shouldn't be in food, you would think, but it is.
But it is. So I think now my relationship with food is about, let me assess what ingredients are in things. Let me make sure I'm doing good for my body.
Yeah.
And not stressing as much. I mean, food is it's an experience to taste food, you know, and I love complex flavors and that kind of thing. So I think my relationship with food is good now, and it's healthy, and I think I have a good mindset around food.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I think my relationship, it's gone up and down through the years. In the beginning, like up until college or into my early 20s, I didn't really have any difficulty with like my relationship with food. But then I started kind of looking into the things of like what food is made of, and like realizing that food is not always made of food stuff, right? So my relationship changed with food just because I was like, well, I want really good ingredients, but then you can't always afford the best ingredients, right? So trying to figure out like that balance is really tough. And I lived in kind of the not Midwest, but just in a landlocked state for a little bit. And
rural.
Rural. And some of that is like a food desert, unfortunately. So there's like the people that live in those areas. And so how do you get good, fresh food there? So, with the Yuka app, I think it's a double-edged sword because like you can like know too much and care too much, and then also just educating yourself, right? Yeah. Like you can get so in depth in it and then be like, oh my gosh, why is this in food? So I think cooking at home is a big thing, but also when we eat out, we just try to just let it be. right?
Yeah, whatever is being cooked for us.
Yeah.
I mean, we try to make decent choices at least when we're picking foods, but yeah, we don't limit ourselves because we're
No.
not going to sit there and try to figure out what's in the meal.
And we're pescatarian. Well, pescatarian, flexitarian.
Flexitarian.
When we're at home, I feel like we're pretty much pescatarian.
Yeah, we don't bring in meat.
Yeah, and usually we don't eat meat at restaurants either. We'll get like tofu, things like that. But when we travel, we like to eat what is out in the world, basically.
Or the rare craving, like I had the other day with the Metropolitan Market sandwich. Yeah. And
and I had one as well.
Yeah, and it had bacon.
Don't oust me.
Oh, sorry.
No. So it's here and there. I think it's fine, but it's all the processed stuff in meats that it's partially.
Yeah, and I think it's good to just be aware of the ingredients you're putting in your body. And if you are able to make better choices, then you try to do that. Yep. Now, that's not always you're not always able to do that. I mean, depending on your finances and where you shop, I mean, those are all factors. I mean, a bottle of soda most of the time is cheaper than a lot of things, you know, or candy or so.
And now it's not for whatever reason, probably due to inflation. We were at the store the other day, and it's the first time I've ever seen like a bottle of soda be
like a 2-liter bottle.
Yeah, a 2-liter bottle of soda be more expensive than a bottle of water. Because usually a bottle of soda I felt like was like $1 or something, right?
Yeah,
like a liter.
Yeah. So it's all dependent. It's so complex.
It is
what you're able to get access to.
Yeah, it's tough. Also, like just kind of diving into the food piece a little bit more, figuring out like I wanted decaf coffee, right? And so I, looked up and found that decaf coffee is used like with one of the ways decaffeinated is with methylene chloride, which is used in chemicals. It's used in paint thinner and stuff. So
and other non-food items.
Yeah. So, but then there's other versions like Swiss water method, which is just rinsed with water, and the CO2 method. So it's just kind of interesting to be aware of all these things.
Yeah.
But the cheaper option is the worst option, which is the chemical method, which is disheartening. Yeah,
it's sad that food that is cheaper kind of uses these processes, or things to make drinks and that kind of thing. So
I'm trying to think what else, in terms of food wise. What about in the kitchen when we're cooking? Who do you think? Well, I already know this answer. So, in the kitchen, you like your space, right?
Oh, yeah. Like navigating the kitchen.
Yeah. Our kitchen's not big, though.
Our kitchen is not big. I think most of my issues are when I'm doing something in a specific area and I need to put in ingredients for the recipe, or I'm chopping things up, and then you want to kind of get into that space too. It can be a challenge because some things are you have to do it right then and there. You have to be stirring things constantly. So, I think that's kind of where the challenges come in.
It's tough, especially trying to, and then cooking takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort.
It does. And I think most of the time when we're cooking, we cook separately. Like I'll cook the meal that day, or you'll cook that meal for that time of the day or whatever. And we try to cook for each other, especially when we're working and kind of take turns.
Yeah, I like the taking turns,
which is good. I mean, usually when I'm cooking, I feel like you don't come in and help me with kind of the tedious things, but sometimes I'll help you because sometimes you're doing more complex recipes, right?
Maybe I'm not helpful. That could be it.
No, you're helpful. I'll ask you if I need you.
In terms of cooking hacks, what would be a cooking hack?
Cooking hacks. One of my favorite things that I do, but I don't do it all the time, is if I know I have a specific recipe that, I want to make, prepping the items. Like cutting up an onion and just having it ready to go when I'm ready to make dinner. That is so nice to have. Or even just meal prep. We do a lot of meal prep.
We do. And my cooking hack, or maybe not cooking hack, but just being prepared, is using mason jars. I absolutely love mason jars. We started using these maybe a year ago.
Yeah,
About
probably.
Yeah, and it was just a one-off. I think I bought a case of mason jars.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I want to do like, I think some parfaits is what I want to do. Yeah. Because I like parfaits. They're kind of pricey, and I was like, buy a thing of yogurt, some grapes, and granola, and there you go.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about the mason jars is that you can see everything, like all your food in it, and it's microwavable safe.
Yeah, yeah. We were using like Pyrex glass containers, and those are fine too. But what's nice about the mason jars, it's compact and it can fit into small spaces.
Yeah, it's
like
good
in your
for
bag.
Traveling. Yeah,
yeah,
for like lunches and stuff.
Yeah, and I always get compliments from people I know or coworkers saying, "Oh my gosh, that's such a cool idea!" And yeah, I think it's great, and we can just stack all of them up in the fridge. Doesn't take up too much space, and then we have just a meal we can grab and go.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. It's one of those kind of the flukes that worked out for us.
Yeah, that's a great tip. What's your favorite kitchen tool?
Oh man, yeah. So like we have a lot of kitchen gadgets, right?
Yeah.
And it's a hard one. Honestly, it's a spatula. And it's not just. It's like one of those like 1.5 to 2 inch spatulas.
Like the tiny ones.
Yeah, the tiny ones. And I like and I like them to be all metal. Which, like metal handle and stuff, which some people might like disagree with because then, you know, sometimes they get hot and things, but I haven't run into that. Yeah, but the tiny spatulas, I absolutely love it. Because when we cook on cast iron, because we don't cook on, well, first of all, we don't cook on anything that is like, Teflon or any coating thing. So all our pans are either cast iron or steel, right?
Well, we do have one.
Oh, we do. Actually, it's a ceramic.
Which actually I don't use that much anymore.
Yeah. What was it called?
It's the away pan.
Yeah, the away pan?
Is that what it's called? I think it's called.
The always pan?
Oh, always, always. I was thinking Caraway because that's a brand. Anyways.
The always pan, yeah.
Yeah.
And it does stick a little bit now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Which probably means we've eaten some of the coating. But
yeah.
Yeah.
It would. I mean, that pan is a great idea because you can put your little
steaming rack.
The steaming rack and the little wooden spatula right on the pan.
It's an expensive pan too. I think it's like $100.
$100, yeah. I mean, it's been great as we've used it.
And I like the steaming rack. Honestly, I use that more than anything else. Yeah. Like without the pan.
Really, I like it too.
Or I use it as a strainer.
Yes, that's like a multi-use tool.
Yeah. If we get rid of that pan, we're keeping the steaming rack. Or the colander strainer, whatever you want to call it, whatever the use is that we're using it for.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, so the little kitchen spatula, like the little 2-inch spatula, that's my favorite piece. What about you? What's your favorite kitchen gadget? I know you're not so much into the kitchen gadgets.
It's not so much a gadget. I have I love the cast iron skillet. I use that a lot. And it's great to like toast things. Right now we don't have a toaster because ours broke. So it's great if I want to like cut up a bagel and put it on
and
there. And
honestly, we're too bougie. Like to want to go and buy we want to buy it. We had a Williams-Sonoma handy-down toaster.
Yeah.
And it was like
touch screen buttons. It was really nice.
It was really nice. But we went to Walmart, and there's nothing wrong with the Walmart toasters. But
I've had those before.
Right, that's all I've had my entire life. But then after going from the Williams-Sonoma back to the Walmart, I'm like, I don't want to. I want to save up for another like bougie toaster.
Me too.
But we're gonna have to save up for it. And we're gonna use a cast iron skillet in the meantime.
Right. Which, I mean, we don't really have to toast things that often, so it's not that big of an inconvenience, but sometimes it'd be nice to have a toaster.
It's hard to go from bougie to not.
Yeah. And
why do you like the cast iron skillet so much?
I like that it like crisps things to perfection. That's what I feel.
It gets really hot.
It gets really hot, really fast, and you can just put the oil in there, and then you get all the good. It's kind of like it was weird to me at first that you don't watch a cast iron skillet, but it really does pick up all those flavors of everything that you cooked, which might be nasty to some people, but
you're heating it up so hot,
that's what it's meant to do, right? And I feel like I can put veggies in there, I can put fake meat in there, I can just do so much with it. It's really versatile. But like tied with that cast iron skillet, is the tongs. I love metal tongs, and I use them in the cast iron skillet just to like flip things. Like if we're cooking shrimp or something like that, it's just so easy to flip.
Yeah, we have some good tongs.
Yeah,
we do. Yeah.
That's so simple, but like I love the tongs.
Yeah, the bigger ones or the smaller ones?
The bigger ones.
Oh, you like the bigger ones?
Yes!
Oh, I thought you would like the small ones.
No, I feel like the small ones don't open all the way.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't like the big ones. Honestly, I was going to get rid of the big ones.
No, don't get rid of it. I need them.
don't get rid of this. Okay. And then the other kitchen gadget I really like is it was a gift, a Le Creuset, I don't know, ceramic pot. Yeah, it's like cast iron as well, but ceramic. Yeah, that was, I don't know, a gift of like, I don't know, 10 years ago or something.
Oh,
6
really?
years ago. I got it like right after I moved out. So yeah,
a lot.
It's great.
It's really nice. You can make soups in there. I make a curry in there.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah, talking about food, I could just talk about it all day.
I know, me too.
But yeah, so thank you for joining us on Brewed Together. And yeah, this was a really fun episode.
Yeah, and we can't wait to see you on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.